So I had a lot of fun watching it. I enjoyed it, man. Fede Alvarez is good, man.
He is good.
And, you know, I've always thought that the Evil Dead remake that he did, well, reimagining, we'll say, or sequel, whatever you want to call it, I thought it was really decent and
They're both really good.
Underrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I fucking loved Alien Romulus. And I know a lot of people are having issues. Like, it seems like it's either in people's top 3 or it's in their bottom 3.
That's what I've seen. People love it. Or they
people
just
either love it or they hate it. There's no like kind of feelings
Yeah.
about it. And I'm happen to be on the love it side.
It's really good. I liked it a lot.
Wait, how about you?
It's going to be one in a way that's kind of like AVP, where I think I definitely appreciate it over time more than I like it. And that's not to say I didn't like it, because I did. It was a solid entry. It's I like that it starts off on like an off-world colony, and you get to see some of that and some of how Weyland Yutani does business as an evil corporation. And that's
Weyland is just like a slave owning fucking
exactly what they are.
And that's sort of the best, or the most interesting, I should say, not the best, but the most interesting part of the movie is that stuff that we've never seen before. I've been saying for a while, like, I want to see like a Weyland Yutani movie. I want to see like a movie about like some lawyer at Weyland Yutani who realizes they're doing all this evil shit, and then like gets fed to an alien or something. You know, that's like the alien's just like the very end or something.
Listen, sir, either you're going to defend us or you're going to have to go in this room with this xenomorph.
Yeah. Right. So I'd really like to see something like that. But I appreciate it. How long is it? I kept meaning to check the runtime.
It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's almost.
But
It's
it felt
like 118.
It felt like a nice pace. And like I said, I appreciate that it was kind of set up like an action horror movie. They're like, all right, we got to get on the ship. Here's what we're going to do. We've got this amount of time until this happens, and we got to be off the ship.
It was kind of like an alien heist movie almost.
Right. It felt like a very well blended Alien and Aliens, even though I know it's the middle part of that, but it had that feel of the survival horror with a little bit of action of Aliens to it.
Even though the heist went terribly wrong,
right?
Like right from the get-go, there was no getting out with whatever they wanted.
But it does nice things, like it sets up early, like how gravity works on the ship.
Yeah.
To the point where like when it plays a part later in the movie, like, you know, it will. You understand what's going on.
There's a part in particular where the gravity hits, and let's just say there's some acid blood, and I was just like in the theater, I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
It's awesome.
Yeah, there's some really fun parts in this movie, and I feel like the complaints that people have are kind of petty. Like the CGI on the original Android. I want to get your point on this, because you are the you really enjoy the modern effects of the original films and stuff like that. So, where do you stand on the CGI they used to bring back an older character who is deceased?
So this isn't really a spoiler alert. I don't think it's been out there now, but basically, while they're on the ship, they need help from a science officer, which they know is synthetic. And it's Science Officer Rook, but it's Ian Holm, who was Science Officer Ash in the first Alien, and they CGI him. And my problem is really not so much with the CGI, but the fact they didn't need to do it. Like, I'm really...
They could have just had like another synthetic android that was a person there.
They could have got, Lance Hendrickson plays a synthetic in it. They could have.
It would have been cool to have him in it. I wonder if he just didn't have time.
He's older.
Yeah.
They could have asked maybe Fassbender to do it. They could have just had some guy who looked a little more like Ian Holm do it. And so I'm really.
I wonder if they did, and this just fell through, and they were like, "We got to do it this way."
I think somebody wanted to do it as a callback, because this takes place between Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about it before. There's the debate on whether you should use deceased actors' images like this. And, like, some people didn't like that they used Harold Ramis in the Ghostbusters. And I give that one a pass, because I think Harold Ramis would probably wanted to have been involved. But then you have, like Christopher Reeve shows up in The Flash, and he's one of those people who is like on on interviews saying like, it's not all about the money for me. I wouldn't want to just come back for money and stuff like that. And so he's not around to ask if he'd be cool with that. So that's something. And then we get to Ian Holm. Like supposedly his family was cool with it and all that.
That's what I heard, that his family kind of encouraged it when they asked.
So on the one hand, like I'm not upset about it or anything, but they just really didn't need to do it.
Yeah.
It's just distracting. They could have just had anybody else play the role as a synthetic science officer.
I didn't think it looked terrible, and it wasn't like a deal breaker for me. Right. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's certain parts that it looked really good. Then there's some that looked
there was a
really
couple
shitty.
And I just kind of take that as to, him being all fucked up to begin with.
Right, yeah.
But I feel like it's a little petty to say like that ruined the entire movie for you, because he's only in it for, what, 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, when you break it down,
I think the only thing with me is like there's a couple of scenes with the face huggers where they look kind of like,
they look a little flimsy.
Yeah. But still, the practical effects they did for the aliens and how they did it was amazing.
Yeah, I think the Ian Holm thing, it almost drags the movie down a little bit for me, just because the more I thought about it, like they didn't need to do it that way. They could have got somebody else to play it. I get that they wanted it to be a cool callback and they wanted a synthetic science officer who looked like the other science officer, but like, why would you do that?
Did you like that they referenced Aliens 2, like not necessarily in the storyline, but isn't there the one part where she's like, "Get away from her, you bitch"?
And I really didn't need Andy to say that line.
Like why did we need it if it's in between 1 and 2? You could
have just said, "Get away from her."
Yeah,
and we would have realized. Like,
I guess it's there to appease the Aliens fans that are there to see it. It didn't really like degrade the movie for me, but I was like, oh, alien shout out there.
Again, didn't quite need it. It would have like.
They could have made their own iconic line there.
He didn't even need to say the "you bitch" part. He could have just said "get away from her."
Yeah,
and we'd have realized like, oh, they're referencing the "you bitch" part.
Yeah,
but I liked Andy the synthetic. He was like one of my favorite things about the movie. The way they play with him being almost like autistic or something.
Yeah,
because his program is old.
Yep.
So he's very like introverted and kind of.
Well, he was damaged too.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
It's almost like he seems like one of those people who has like sensory overloads and they're always wearing their headphones, and that he kind of got that vibe.
Yeah.
But then he gets his program updated a little bit for some of the movie, and he turns into like a little more ruthless kind of what we think of as a alien science officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, fuck you guys.
Well, there's a couple parts with him, like, he's a synthetic and like, he's super strong, but then like you push him over and motherfucker's got reset and he's like starts shaking. You're like, come on, dude. Come on.
I enjoyed it. I thought that was a good part of the movie.
Yeah.
And it definitely aided in the the story overall. But I mean, I really enjoyed it because a lot of times when movies, franchises in particular, when they revisit it in the future, they want to make it fancier and show off the power of today's technology and CGI. And in this, they went old school, the same,
setup.
Apple style computers, scrolling words across the screen. It wasn't like there was this leap in technology and you're like, kind of like, well, how did they have that when they didn't have that in the third movie,
Yeah. I appreciate that analog, sort of retro future feel.
I really appreciated that they kept it in the same environment as far as the technology and all that went. Like that was really cool. And it puts you in that Alien and Aliens vibe.
Yeah.
So you were already like hip to it when it started. You're like, yeah, this is going to be a good one. But man, I had fun. It was very good. And it's not like terribly scary or anything like that. Like,
well, it's
Alien and Aliens was for me as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you've seen it in the trailers too. Like these face huggers are fucking aggressive.
Yeah.
Like they're just like ready, just attacking. So I really like that. It was a different pace.
When it got on the one dude, I was like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah. You see the little mouth.
Like, they kind of fucked up in they show too much in these trailers nowadays.
Yeah, that's the problem. I've always said that.
Because there's a cool part where they find this like it's like an x-ray scanner wand. And in the trailer, they show us one of the girl, she's like has it up on her back and you can see the face hugger,
alien in there.
The xenomorph is, getting ready to come out. But like, I don't know why they needed to show that. Because I mean, that right there just tells us that character is going to get iced. but
not that we don't know that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of figured that, you know, the main antagonist is the only one that's getting out of this or whatever. But like I said, there's small complaints. You know, there's some things that really keep it from being a really phenomenal movie. But it's a super fun, super intense movie. And there's some scenes in there that they really got creative with the gravity and stuff like that. And I appreciate what he tried to do here. You know, I mean, it was fan service, definitely. And I know some people, you know, are against fan service and they want you to kind of take it and do your own thing. But I had fun with it, and that's all I can ask at the end of the day. I was entertained.
Tell you what, there's nothing better than hearing that pulse rifle, isn't it?
Yeah,
man, this is so amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with it. It doesn't really add anything, I think, to like the alien mythos or anything like that.
No.
But as sort of just like it's just like a straightforward alien movie.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm not asking for anything.
Right, and that's kind of what I mean when I said earlier that I appreciate it more than I liked it. I think it's not trying to take a big swing and big miss or anything. It's just like it's just an alien movie.
Well, they do tie to Prometheus and stuff, which I really enjoyed. That, you know, they keep it in that universe. They keep it going with
here. And here's my biggest applause to him is that they went back to the horror route.
Yeah,
and like that is what makes Alien so great. You know, the tense scenes where they don't know that the xenomorph is right there and it's right behind them and you can see it and it just tenses you up.
That's like classic move. And there you see something, you see something moving in the back. You're like,
yeah. And I mean, he did a really good job, like blending his style of horror into it. And I really appreciated what Fede Alvarez did.
I know that he's came out and said that he would like to come and do like an Alien versus Predator movie.
Oh, that would be so fucking cool.
Oh, it'd be really good.
I just want a good Predator movie. Yeah. I mean, Prey was good, but I want that action.
Well, I think they're filming a new one. It's called Badlands.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. Rumor is.
Supposedly. You know, I don't know how I feel. Like, I don't know how I feel about the going back in the past again with aliens. Or not aliens, predators. But
well, we've talked about it too. Have been really cool. Like, you know, feudal Japan era. Then you got, you know, pirates and stuff, which they, you know, different timelines.
I you know, with Predator in particular, I just want something that kind of gets back to the original.
Yeah.
You know, something that's action, something that's a little scary, and something I'm going to have fun with. And they tried with the one before Prey, but it just didn't, you know, too much involvement there.
There was a whole lot of cutting and editing.
Yeah.
And
they chopped that movie the fuck up. Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with the Predator franchise. Even though I really enjoyed Prey, I just want something that's, you know, like maybe a return back to the jungle or, you know, in the city of some sort. I don't know.
Well, there's in the comic book that, you know, there's one where they have Dutch comes back and which is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then Danny Glover's character too. Like,
and that's another like
Brazil,
thing.
And
I would love to see Arnold, you know, Dutch make a comeback. You know, just that send off for him.
Yeah.
You know, just a nice little sequel where they got time to do it, but they got to do it right now.
Yeah.
So before Arnold gets too old.
Well, I think him in the comic book, like he actually stays with the predators and they hunt like the bad predators, like because he's like so good,
kind of like an Alien versus Predator vibe. You know?
And because he's so good that he's with the predators.
That's how it was AVP, where the predator respects the one girl in
she was fucking up aliens.
Kind of gives her, you know, a staff or whatever, like help me fuck this guy.
Well, then he marks her too, basically.
So I don't know. I gave Alien Romulus a 3.5. What'd you guys give it?
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
And that's where it lands. Like, it's above average and it's fun, but it doesn't do anything to kind of make its own thing and make it great. So, like, it's a fun movie for you to watch, but it's nothing memorable or anything like that.
Well done. I appreciate the special effects as well. I think he built a lot of sets.
Yeah,
and then just kind of used the CGI to enhance all that stuff. So that's really cool. That's people realize, like, you know, things like miniatures and all that and actual building stuff holds up over time a lot better, I think, than some CGI will. Use your CGI to blend it and make everything look good. But that's why stuff like Alien and Aliens and Ridley Scott's movies hold up, you know, 40 years
they do,
because they knew how to, you know, incorporate that stuff and use it well.